Okay, so this is video 2 for lesson 19 over ratio and proportion. So if a ratio or proportions do not work out as evenly, so let's say we have 2 to 5, so we'll say, I can't even think of a good example. So 2 boys to 5 girls, just because it's not going to work out evenly, as blank number of girls to 11 boys. So one reason this isn't going to be the same is the relationship between 5 and 11. We know it's greater than 2 because 5 times 2 is 10, but 5 times 3 is 15. So it's going to be in between. So we'd have to figure that out and then multiply. But what we can do is cross multiply and then solve for it, just like I showed you at the end of that last one. So 5 times x is 5x. 2 times 11 is 22. And then you can divide each side by 5 to solve for x. So x is 22 divided by 5, which is 4 and 2/5. Or if you went ahead and wanted to get the decimal, so 5 into 22, 5 goes into 22 4 times, which is 20, with a remainder of 2. Go make your decimal and bring down a 0. It's 20. We said 5 goes into 20 4 times evenly. So it would be 4.4, which is the same as 4 and 2/5. So the x would be 4.4. So something that we might have to work out, make an equation, and then actually solve for. So that was one way to cross multiply and then solve for the unknown. The other way they showed us in the video is when we have 2 to 5 and x over 11, or x to 11, what's understood here is a 1. So it's really 111 times x. That's the same as x over 11. So to get the x by itself, you can multiply by the reciprocal. So if it's 1 over 11, you can multiply by 11 over 1. And then you have to do it to the other side as well. So of course that cancels out, the 11's cancel, you're left with x, and then 11 times 2 is 22, 1 times 5 is 5, so 22 over 5. And then you can go ahead and divide it like we did. So x is 4.4, or 4 and 2/5. So just another way to do it is you can multiply by the reciprocal to get the unknown by itself to solve for it. Now, the next one shows us if the unknown is in the denominator and we need to solve for it. So let's say we have to solve for a in this one. 3 is to a is 17 is to 40. So what is a? So to get a by itself, we can't just multiply by 1/3 because it's in the denominator. So you have to multiply by a to get it out of the denominator. So when you do that, the a cancels out and you're left with 3 equals 17 over 40 times a. And then you get a by itself, you can multiply by this reciprocal. So 40 over 17. And do that to each side of the equation. So 40 over 17. So this all cancels out. So on this side you only have a. And then this side 40 times 3 is 120 all over 17. I'm going to flip it around. And then when you divide that, 17 goes into 120 7 times with a remainder of 1. So 1/17. So that seems a little cumbersome because you have to get the unknown out of the denominator. The other way you could do this is cross multiply. And you could say a times 17 is 17a. 3 times 40 is 120. And then divide by 17 to get it by itself. So those cancel out, and a is equal to 7 and 1/7. Okay, so those are all the examples from the textbook. You the instruction manual. I'm going to go ahead and break there and then make one last video just going over problems from the workbook.